go because you know what I came here to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
What's happening, Fabio?
Oh, here he is.
How are you, bro?
I'm good, man. What are you doing down here?
I've come to see you.
You'd come see me, yeah?
Close to first, man.
Come down to the show with some eyes on it.
Yeah, don't get nervous, man.
Nervous about what?
We're dropping the water in there. Don't be nervous, man. Just come see me.
Clout Chasing 101, David Adeleye turns up at the AJ press conference to confront Fabio Wardley. I wonder if Frank sent him to do that, or did he take the initiative to do that? That cheeky bastard Dave about they can fight on BT. Nobody watches the zone. Yeah, clout chasing, but I don't mind it one bit. He took the initiative, and we should encourage that. We should encourage that. Eddie was talking about boxers making themselves visible in the industry at press conferences and weigh-ins and shows. But Eddie confined it to Matchroom fighters coming to Matchroom shows. David left BT and went to the Matchroom press conference because he was proactive. And this is one aspect of why fights are not happening that is not talked about enough, and it needs to be explored a lot more. And promoters need to be rubbished if they separate fighters into packs, because that benefits them and their network deal. We need to rubbish them and take them to task. And fighters should be encouraged that unless you're in a UFC type structure, you have to mingle. There is no us and them. That's not how boxing works. I'm talking Queensberry rules boxing. That's not how we operate. In saying that, you know, instead of getting involved in events that are out of their jurisdiction, which they're doing with Conor BENN now, which to me, which I could be wrong, you know, I will ignorantly say, looks like a constraint of trade violation, and Jeff Powell agreed with that.
Just want to quickly get your opinion, Jeff, on this issue with the boxing board, Eddie Hearn, Conor BENN, this whole situation in Abu Dhabi. We've seen Rob Smith come out and said there could be ramifications for Eddie Hearn and Chris Eubank Jr. should the fight in Abu Dhabi take place. Do you think that could scupper Eddie's plans?
It's not clear cut. The British Boxing Board of Control are in a bit of a corner because Conor's declined to present his huge document in defence to either them or to UCAD. I suspect the reason for that is that UCAD and the Board of Control hold to a higher standard of responsibility than the WBC. The WBC said we wouldn't stop him fighting because we can't prove absolutely that he took a banned substance deliberately. The Board of Control and UCAD, even if you didn't read the small print on the package, someone spiked your drink, however many eggs you ate, anything that goes into your body is your responsibility. If you test positive, you're positive, even if you had no idea that you'd done something wrong. You have to be careful what you eat, careful what you drink.
Do you think that the boxing board would stop the fight from happening based on the fact that Eddie and Eubank are...
If it's to be clear cut, Conor needs to go to a hearing having presented his evidence. If he doesn't, the Board of Control will have a problem about whether they can prevent a man earning his living abroad. I think we might find that it's not definitely Abu Dhabi. There is a possibility of the fight being taken to the United States, where there are some strict commissions like Vegas and New York, and there are some who are not so fussy, who would probably be very happy to put that fight on. If they do that, and that commission requests its fellow commission in Britain to recognise that, they would have a problem legally about preventing a man earning a living. So that's got some legs in it yet. There's nothing absolutely clear on that.
Interesting stuff. We'll see how the situation develops.
Now, Jeff Powell is old guard. Now, I don't like the way Jeff has been moving recently, taking up certain agendas. But make no mistake, he's one of the best journalists at what he does. And he knows his shit. 100%. They shouldn't be getting involved in that. And the legal ramifications and lawsuits are going to be very... We'll talk about that in a minute. Instead of getting involved in that, they should be making sure that fighters are not limited to what they can do because of networks or promotional interests. And then they would get my respect. But when they're in people's pockets and shit, and you know, you get people arguing with you in the comment section and they don't know the history of British boxing or how things are constructed. They don't know where the corruptions and the pockets of corruptions are coming from. And then they start arguing with you about what they think's right. And they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Promoters have been getting away with practices that have hurt boxers and fans for years. Why do you think there's a Muhammad Ali Act? Like, I spoke to people And there's a reason, like, you know, Leo Muhammad, oh, the crazy old guy, the crazy old... Nah. That's what people want you to think. That's what people want you to think. Yeah, the crazy old guy. No, the crazy old guy knows more shit than what you believe. When I get time, I've got the draft of the Muhammad Ali Act, and I'm going to go for it with a fine-tooth comb and find out certain clauses. And I'm going to put the receipt up on the channel in the video and let everybody know what's going on. Because the act has been suppressed. You don't hear about it. When they made the Muhammad Ali Act, it was a big deal. Yeah, the Muhammad Ali Act, the Muhammad Ali Act. But since then, it's been suppressed. None of the fighters have used it when they've got in compromising situations. They put more trust in their promoters and the networks. But he said several times, that if Crawford and Spence wanted to fight, there's nothing Al Heyman could do about it. There's nothing Showtime could do about it. There's nothing Bob Arum could do about it. There's nothing ESPN could do about it. Spence doesn't have a promoter. Crawford doesn't work for Bob Arum. I'm talking about when he was with Bob Arum. They're self-employed, independent, grown men with the freedom to work where they want and with who they want. There's no contract that could be made legally binding where Bob Arum could say Terence Crawford cannot fight Errol Spence and vice versa. They wouldn't even need the Muhammad Ali Act to stop that from happening. As for the boxing fans, we don't need an act. We don't need a Muhammad Ali Act or anything. We need to exercise our power as a body of consumers, but we don't. And I'm the first one to say I'm guilty. I'm guilty. Because instead of boycotting the culpable parties, I'm the first one to say, I just want to watch boxing, I just want to watch boxing. And that's a fucked up attitude to have. It really is. Because in the long run, we don't gain. But the fact there are no penalties for Bob Arum and Frank Warren, because it's not like a first time they did this, like botched up the undisputed fight. And there's no penalties. And I'm talking about from the fans. The fans are not going to penalise them for that. Like, okay, Tyson might face a bit of backlash and criticism with his next fight because it's not for undisputed. There might be a lot of people not wanting to turn up. But imagine even if the extreme Tyson Fury fans said, nah, fuck you. You make that fight or we don't turn up and we don't support you. You watch platforms like TalkSport, I can't even listen to them no more. I can't even listen. I was thinking of unsubscribing. The amount of platform they gave to Frank Warren to do damage control. The amount of platform.
You are one of the worst journalists I've ever come across. You want to know why, Colin? Just don't speak. Let me just carry on. You know what your opinion means? You know what your opinion means? Your opinion. Whoa, because you're writing about me. If I wrote about you, Colin, I don't think you'd like it.
For some reason, Naz apologised to Colin. Well, it is what it is. But a lot of us were supporting Naz when he steamed into it. He deserved it. He deserved it. And we're seeing Colin turn up on TalkSport or at press events recently, either to tell us how immoral Conor Benn and his PED situation is, or he's doing damage control for Tyson Fury and Frank Warren, trying to tell us it was Usyk's fault the fight didn't happen. He accepted 30%, so he should accept the blame that the fight didn't go ahead. Colin, go away. Frank Warren is telling us that Tyson Fury spent $2 million trying to get out of the arbitration case with Deontay Wilder. Frank is claiming that Fury and himself didn't want to go through with the third fight. They wanted to fight AJ for undisputed, but they got incorrect information, legal advice, which said the contract had expired, which it hadn't. This is what Frank is saying, and it cost Tyson almost $2 million. Here's the thing though, why didn't you tell the public that the contract hadn't expired instead of letting Eddie run around the place? Why didn't you pull out and say we can't commit to a fight? Why didn't you do that? What about Eddie's claim that you could have terminated the contract in December with Wilder? And Tyson Fury's dad backed that up. And isn't it very convenient you're telling us all this when the damage control for Tyson Fury and Frank Warren's Queensbury promotional outlet is at Critical? See, they're basically trying to tell us that nothing is ever their fault. That they try to make fights without any obstacles or complications. But the history tells us different. That's the problem, Frank. A couple of the British fans who follow what I'm doing, they always warn me about the the Daily Star receipts, sources. And I have a laugh when they say it because I know where they're coming from, right? You know what I mean? It's basically the Tits newspaper. And some of the headlines on their stories back in the day were crazy. But this is when red tops were really important, before people got a lot of their news from social media. But the Daily Star have come good on a few of their sources and receipts before anyone else broke quite a lot of boxing stories. So I don't know how good they're going to come up on this one. But they're talking about Sonny Edwards and Jack Catterall could be snapped up by Eddie Hearn and MATCHROON within a couple of days, by Friday. Sonny Edwards, the IBF flyweight champion, he is without a promoter after the collapse of PROBELLUM. Their website is not up anymore. And Jack Catterall, he just saw the collapse of the Josh Taylor fight. He needs a promoter. He's already been with Frank Warren. I don't think he's going back there. The only obvious competition is Ben Shalom. So where will Sonny and Jack go? DAZN or Sky? You know, DAZN are in a good position right now. They haven't been around for a long time. They've got 200 odd countries to broadcast to. And now they've acquired a Sky channel and a Virgin Media channel. AJ will be on pay-per-view on Virgin Media on Saturday. Listen, I don't want to hear nobody say we can't access DAZN no more. It's on Virgin and Sky. It's going to be in the pubs, wine bars, all about the hospitality industry. And you get a great deal on the pay-per-view. You get, I think, 1 month's DAZN on the app. And then you'll be able to access the full service on Virgin Media, as well as Sky. Now they're talking about Disrupt Promotions could be PROBELLUM trying to reinvent themselves again. I don't know about that. I haven't heard anything to back this up. Hey, I owe Ben Shalom, Sky and Boxer an apology. I got the story wrong. So I'm going to make amends on that now. Big up Base the Kid. So KO Promotions from Poland won the purse bid legitimately with their 425 grand. Big purse bid for a company I've never heard. Eddie bid 300,000 plus for the BABIC ROZANSKI fight for the vacant Bridgerweight title. But apparently they won the purse bid and they offered MATCHROON and Sky the broadcasting rights. But Eddie is broadcasting Joe Cordina versus Rakimov on the same night for the IBF Super Featherweight title. So Eddie had a choice of what world title fight he was going to broadcast. And he went with Cordina Rakimov. And I can't say I blame him. The Bridgerweight division is unproven. BABIC is unproven. The guy he's fighting has been inactive for at least a year and a half. Let's face it, neither BABIC and ROZANSKI, who I have to keep going to the source to remember his name, neither of them would be players in either the cruiserweight division or the heavyweight division. Nowhere near the top 15 in either, cruiser or heavy. Whereas Joe Cordina beat a well-respected, very good champion in Ogawa, knocked him out in spectacular fashion, got his hand injured, had to forfeit his IBF title, and now his title shot's coming back around, and BABIC is mad, and that Eddie didn't believe in him. Joe Cordina is a more rounded pro than BABIC, and at this moment has more prospects of doing something in the game than BABIC. I can see why he's mad. He's not gonna break it down like how I broke it down. Obviously, he thinks the world of himself. But as for betrayal, BABIC has been at MATCHROON since 2020. Joe Cordina turned pro there in 2017. Eddie went with the guy who's been there longer than BABIC and has more prospects of becoming somebody in the game. Now, BABIC might shock everybody and take the Bridgerweight division by storm and make it become something. And Eddie will have to live with that if that's the case. So while I'm discussing Joe Cordina, it will be at the International Arena in Wales, April the 22nd, where he takes on Rakimov. Makes the first defense of that belt that he took from Zelfa Barrett. Plus, like, Wales are behind Joe Cordina, and it would be a great territory for MATCHROON to get hold of if Cordina can win and bring life back into Welsh professional boxing, because nothing ain't been popping there since Enzo Macrinelli and, more importantly, Joe Calzaghe.
Of course, Felix Cash, Signani did happen. Of course, you're both due to fight each other. Is that a tad disappointing on your behalf, knowing that that fight won't be happening and it won't get the promotion potentially it could have gotten?
Nah, you know what? I kind of came to terms with what up, baby? I kind of came to terms with the fact that that probably wouldn't have happened. after he didn't take the fight with me immediately, because we were supposed to fight early 2023. So when I got the call that he didn't take it after I came out to England and put all of that work in to promote the fight, I kind of felt like it wasn't happening anyway. So it's not really a big surprise to me, actually.
Yeah, Felix Cash has went off the boil. After looking spectacular early 2021 against Denzel Bentley, winning the British title. He had the not so spectacular performance against Magomed Madiev, where he was down twice and, he pulled out a tight UD. He was cut and didn't look very good. I don't think the inactivities helped Felix. That was the Magdiev fight was February 2022, and then he had a fight in December 22 against Kelso Neves, who was 9-2-2. And he didn't look impressive in that either. That fight, from what I saw, was not a convincing win. Cash was cut above the left eye, and the guy made him look ordinary. He was scheduled to fight Amo Williams, who was ringside when he was fighting Neves. And Eddie was there. Amo came and spoke to Felix post-fight, and everyone was assuming this was the next fight. Felix looked a little flustered with Amo right in front of him, spoke a little tough guy talk, pushed Amo. That got broken up. But he didn't take the fight. He opted to fight the 40-plus-year-old European champion Sigiani. That was supposed to happen this Saturday on the undercard of AJ versus Franklin. And he's pulled out of that fight with sickness. So that has to be rescheduled. So the Amo Williams fight is not on the radar. And looks like a duck to me. Looks like a duck. But more importantly is what's happening with this guy's career. I think that Madiev fight took a lot of his confidence away, and it hasn't returned as yet. He could be genuinely injured. But Amo Williams, he gets an opportunity on the AJ Franklin undercard. He takes on River Wilson Bent, and he'll hope to continue his winning ways. I don't know what's happening with the Felix Cash fight, which a lot of people are looking forward to, looks further and further away than ever. Arguably the best matchup of the year so far. Dated, located, Saturday, May the 20th, MGM Grand Las Vegas pits the undisputed lightweight champion, Devin Haney, against Vasyl Lomachenko. I like the fight poster, titled Checkmate, which pictures both the fighters pictured on a ring that's modeled into a chessboard as well. Very nice. Very nice. I like it, top rank. Excellent fight. If you are paying out for them extortion pay-per-views across the pond, this one is as good as any, or better than all for my money, for that matter. Another fighter who seems to be falling prey to ducking and sickness is VERGIL Ortiz. Paco Vaccarel from the WBO. He revealed that Ortiz turned down the Terence Crawford fight twice, and he had to withdraw from a Michael Mickelson fight with illness, with rhabdomyolysis, if that's pronounced correctly. And that was rescheduled. He beat Michael up when it was rescheduled for August. The illness Ortiz is dealing with now is undisclosed. It's called off the April 29th date. Golden Boy won the purse bid. It's unclear whether they will keep the scheduled DAZN date and if Stanionis will have a marked time stay busy fight on the bill. The winner of that fight was due a shot at Errol Spence. Keith Thurman was in line to get a crack at Errol Spence for the WBC belt before Stanionis or Ortiz. But apparently Spence has entered talks with Terence Bud Crawford again. And 147 is a mess. And I can't do it to my old brain to keep going through the illness, the mandatories, the secondary belts, the super belts, and Thurman's supposed to get a shot, Ortiz supposed to get a shot, fights getting rescheduled, sickness, Boots ducking Crawford, Ortiz ducking Crawford, Stanionis supposed to get a shot, Spence ducking Crawford, then he's negotiating with Crawford, then he's ducking Crawford, then he's negotiating with Crawford. Down with it all, man, please. Tell him, Frank, tell him.
Do me a favour.